speaking of the Nets, they had a big win last night in Chicago, so let's get to the United Center. Kyrie Irving was available to play in this game, and so was Kevin Durant, who has been keeping the Nets afloat all season long. There we see DeMar DeRozan. Let's skip ahead to the second quarter because this dunk from Zach LaVine, we got to see that again because it was so good, and there really wasn't much good for Chicago last night. So let's go to the third quarter. It's tough to get to the upper room.
Yeah, but he can get there.
But if there was an upper room for passing, I think James Harden might be in it. He was on fire, Chene.
Third quarter, James Harden passing was great. Kevin Durant had 17 points in the third quarter alone, but that's what he did. He knocked down threes, 5 on the night, and that would make me mad too.
Well, it's actually really challenging to rip a towel in half like that.
Very hard.
So shout out DeMar DeRozan, but also shout out Kevin Durant because he was cooking all night.
But then Kyrie, this is, I mean, I guess you can say quiet night, but that's what he does best, finish at the rim.
Well, the Bulls, they were outscored 39-19 in the third quarter. And then it went from bad to worse. James Harden out on the break.
Oh, when he's doing this, you know you won the game.
And they win, they did. Billy Donovan scratching his head. Nick Claxton likes it. Here's the Brooklyn Nets after the game.
Are you surprised at how quickly you guys are back in sync like that?
Nah, like we're that good.
Durant and Harden combined for 52 points. What a performance by Brooklyn tonight.
I think last year we probably had 15 games maybe together. And this year only 2. You know what I mean? We haven't had a real bulk of a season just to where it's like, all right, y'all can consistently see how great we can be.
You know, we got our ass kicked tonight. Let it sink in, let it suck, let it hurt. Understand we got a butt whoop.
It's going to be difficult for teams to load up and make adjustments on the fly when you have me, James, and Kay out there playing. We are in that flow where it gets dangerous for other teams or our opponent.
So the Nets are now 13-3 when KD, Harden, and Kyrie all play. But Wednesday might have been their best game together. It was the team's biggest win and their second most points scored in any game with the Big Three on the court. And statistically, this was the best win of the Big Three era in Brooklyn. But what does this actually mean for their future, right? They're fully healthy on the court. Kyrie, I'm kind of looking at you here. But when they are, can they beat anyone? Vince, since you're not here very often, I'm going to start with you and then roll on down the line.
They absolutely can beat anyone. And I tell you what, they asked, you guys haven't been together, but they understand how to play together. They love each other. They love playing with each other. That's all they've said. You guys have heard them. It's like, we love having Kyrie back. And when Kyrie gets back, it's contagious. You can see how they play. They play freely. They play with a lot of fun. Everybody's picking each other up off the floor. I mean, because they know they can score individually, they can score as a unit, and then you put 2 rookies in the game and they have career nights. Just do your job. Set screens and roll sharp. You get all the dunks. The other young fella, you get open threes. And this team now, if they can play defense like they played, look out for the Brooklyn Nets.
Absolutely. Your question being, can any other team beat them if they're healthy? And I think the answer here is probably not, because you look at the backcourt. I mean, James Harden, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, they're like your favorite hooper's favorite hooper. Like, they're able to get jiggy with it in isolation. I know I'm speaking in the locker room, in isolation in a way that it's completely unguardable. You look at Phoenix. I love Devin Booker. I love Chris Paul and Mikal Bridges. But then one-on-one, when it comes to the game getting slowed down and you're in isolation, these guys are built for this, and they're built different. You look at the Warriors. Yes, I love that Klay is coming back, but he is still coming back. It's going to be adjustment for the long term. Steph Curry, I mean, he's a star. I don't even have to say anything. But maybe is it Jordan Poole? You don't know who that next person is that can go toe to toe with one of those big 3. The question is availability. It's not if they are talented enough.
Well, you know what? I'm not going to overreact to the win and say that no one could beat them. But I will say this. Last night, they played a beautiful brand of basketball. They were passing up good shots to get great shots. And like Vince said, when you have young fellas, the rookies having career highs, you saw with Patty Mills knocking down open corner threes. I believe they had 35 assists on the night. Like, it was ball and player movement. And just think about this for a minute. And I'm not saying, taking anything away from the Nets, but the Bulls were actually coming off a back-to-back.
Yes.
At halftime, the score was 62-60. All of a sudden, people don't realize how back-to-backs affect you, but all of a sudden you could see the Bulls ran completely out of gas. Like their shots were short and everything else. But when it comes down to the Bulls, the Nets, the Bucks, I mean, hey, it's up for grabs to me because I'm not counting out Giannis.
Can I add one thing?
Never count out Giannis.
And the Nets did the right thing, though. Like, in back-to-backs, what do coaches say at halftime? Let's pick up our pressure, get into the legs, and wear them down. And they did just that. They were getting into the star players, Levine, as well as DeRozan, making the shots tough for
No
them.
Caruso.
And no Caruso, and shots started falling short. And you have to give credit to their guys who just understanding their role, just going out there defending. They had guys just come in just to defend their best players, meaning the Bulls, and shut them down, and it was a different second half.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.